Good morning, everyone. I'm Diane with Pleasant Hill United Methodist Church, and this is my adult Sunday school lesson for Sunday, January 24th. Now, you may have noticed that I've started posting the Sunday school lesson on the church Facebook page on Saturday morning, and that's because our Extraordinary Life Sunday School class has decided to continue to meet via Zoom, and they will meet at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings to discuss the information that I share with you during this Sunday school lesson. So if you'd like to be a part of the Extraordinary Life Sunday School class's discussion of this, please email me at dianejordanpleasanthill@gmail.com, and I'll be very happy to include you in that Zoom link so that you can be a part of that discussion. Today, I thought I would talk about the 9 characteristics that make a good friend. And in this time of social distancing, isolating, in this pandemic, we can't go anywhere. It's really important to have friends that you can reach out, that you can talk to, that you can interact with, whether it's via a Zoom meeting or a FaceTime or whatever. It's really important for us to continue to reach out to friends. So we're going to look today at what makes a good friend. So in one of Charles Schulz's comic strips, good old Charlie Brown pays one of his frequent visits to Lucy's 5-cent sidewalk psychiatric stand. And with a look of complete dejection on his face, Charlie says to his would-be counselor, "And so I can't help it. I feel lonely, depressed." Well, Lucy immediately jumps to the occasion with some needed encouragement for Charlie Brown. "This is ridiculous," she insists. "You should be ashamed of yourself, Charlie Brown. You've got the whole world to live in," she continues. "There's beauty all around you. There are things to do, great things to be accomplished. No man treads the earth alone. We're all together, one generation, taking up where the other generation has left off." Slowly, a smile spreads across Charlie Brown's face as Lucy's words begin to sink in. "You're right, Lucy," he says. "You're right. You're making me see things differently. I realize now I am a part of the world. I'm not alone. I have friends." Lucy quickly replies, "Yeah, name one." Well, everybody needs friends, and it's the second most basic relationship to life. Jesus said that the 2 most important commandments are to love God with all your heart and to love your neighbor as yourself. And we often experience God's love through the love of a friend. People usually don't care if they have a friend in Jesus until that they see that they have a friend in us. Proverbs clearly tells us what makes a good friend and how to develop and how to maintain meaningful relationships. So, number 1, what makes a good friend? Faithfulness. Friends do not desert each other when times are bad. We all have bad times in our lives. You really get to know who your true friends are when you're in one of those deep valleys. In Proverbs 17:17, it says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." In Proverbs 27:10, "Do not forsake your friend and the friend of your father, and do not go to your brother's house when disaster strikes you. Better a neighbor nearby than a brother far away." One of the greatest friendships in the Bible was that of David and Jonathan. And when Jonathan's father, King Saul, hated David so much that he wanted to kill him, Jonathan protected David. In 1 Samuel 20, verses 30 through 31, Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, "You son of a perverse and rebellious woman, don't I know that you have sided with the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of the mother who bore you? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established." Then in verse 33, Saul actually hurled his spear at Jonathan to kill him. Even with the loss of his future kingship, his relationship with his father, and the potential loss of life, Jonathan remained a loyal friend to David. What's our second thing that makes a good friend? It's keeping confidences. Friends don't gossip. In Proverbs 16:28, "A perverse man stirs up dissension, and a gossip separates close friends." And in Proverbs 11:13, a gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy man keeps a secret. As a friend, you know details and you know secrets of your friends' lives, but friends don't share that with other people. They don't gossip. And gossip is telling detrimental things about another person to someone who's not a part of the problem or the solution. Friends know when to tell someone else, such as in the cases of abuse, and when to keep that confidence. Number 3, kindness. Friends don't carry jokes or pranks too far. You might have seen there's the Practical Jokers TV show on. They carry their pranks and their jokes a little bit too far for me. I probably wouldn't talk to them again if they were my friend. But let's see what the Bible says. Proverbs 26:18-19. Like a madman shooting firebrands or deadly arrows is a man who deceives his neighbor and says, "Hey, I was only joking." Fathers can help their children by teaching them the difference between a joke and a harmless prank and going too far. Number 4, what else makes a good friend? Do not co-sign for one another. Friends encourage each other to live within their means. Money is often a cause of bitterness between close friends. Proverbs 6:1-5. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, if you have struck hands and pledged for another, if you have been trapped by what you said and snared by the words of your mouth, then do this, my son, to free yourself. Since you have fallen into your neighbor's hands, go and humble yourself. Press your plea with your neighbor. Allow no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of a hunter, like a bird from the snare of a fowler. And Proverbs 17:18 says, a man lacking in judgment strikes hands in pledge and puts up security for his neighbor. When you co-sign on a loan or a debt for someone, you are accepting the responsibility for the debt of someone else. If for any reason they can't pay, guess what? They're going to come to you and you are going to have to pay for it. When you co-sign, you're also enabling your friend to buy something that they simply can't afford. And the Bible calls that putting up security or being surety. Now, I know that it's always tempting as a parent to want to co-sign for your children, and that's a different experience. Here we're talking about co-signing for a friend. If you've got a friend who's decided that they've got to have the latest and greatest car, but they can't screen for the loan and they ask you to sign for it and you sign for it, you are liable for that loan for the entire term of that loan. If they miss payments, guess what? They're going to come after you. The creditors are going to come after you. And, car loans are ridiculously long now. 7 years on some of these new car loans. And so don't co-sign for a friend. People often pledge themselves to be responsible for their friends' debts, but this is a recipe for disaster, and this will strain your friendship, if not cost you your friendship with that person. It's best to encourage your friends to buy only what they can afford. When someone wants something they can't afford, encourage them to save up until they can buy it. If your friend is truly in need, and there are times in our lives when we have friends or we ourselves become truly in need, the loss of a job, unforeseen circumstances that just rain down on someone. In those situations, it is much better to give them money and give it as a gift with no expectation of receiving any sort of repayment than to loan money or to co-sign on a loan for someone. Generosity is our 5th characteristic. Friends don't turn away from friends that are in need. Proverbs 3:28 says, do not say to your neighbor, hey, come back later, I'll give it to you tomorrow, when you have it with you right now. We've all been given the same amount of time in our lives. We have 24 hours in every day. It's the same for me, it's the same for you, it's the same for everyone in the world. Even with our busy lives, it amazes me how many people have time to give to their friends. When my husband was very seriously terminally ill, We were amazed at all of the people who were so thoughtful and so kind and provided meals to us, who took care of the lawn, who just did things for us that, when someone would call and say, "What do you need?" I couldn't even tell them what I needed. I was overwhelmed. But they saw the need and they responded to the need and they took care of it for us. And I can never thank them enough for all of their incredible generosity that we saw during that time. These are things that are done at a cost to them of time. And when you are going and cutting somebody else's lawn, you're losing a couple hours there of your own time. And so it means a lot to be able to help those who are our friends who are in need. Number 6 is forgiveness. Friends never seek revenge. Proverbs 24:29 says, "Do not say, 'I'll do to him as he has done to me. I'll pay that man back for what he did.'" Proverbs 20:22 says, "Do not say, 'I'll pay you back for this wrong.' Wait for the Lord and he will deliver you." Our fallen human nature tells us, don't get mad, get even. But Jesus says we must forgive, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Other than Jesus, every friend that we have will be imperfect. And we have to be ready to forgive our friends, just like we hope that they'll be able to forgive us when we make mistakes. Number 7, bringing out the best in each other. Friends don't ask their friends to participate in sins. They look out for each other. Proverbs 16:29 says, "A violent man entices his neighbor and leads him down a path that is not good." Proverbs 22:24 says, "Do not make friends with a hot-tempered man. Do not associate with one easily angered, or you may learn his ways and get yourself ensnared." On October 24th, 2008, the Daily Mail, a British newspaper, stated that a female constable appeared in court charged with burglary and misconduct in public office after she allegedly abused her position to help her friends commit crimes. The 26-year-old woman is said to have passed on confidential information from police computer systems to her boyfriend and others. She's also accused of helping a friend steal thousands of dollars from a shop by listening to traffic on her police radio and warning her friend if the police were on their way. As the saying goes, with friends like this, man, who needs enemies? That's not the behavior of a true friend. Number 8, telling the truth even if it is bad news. Does this dress make me look fat? Those kinds of things. Proverbs 27:17, "As iron sharpens iron, so man sharpens another." Proverbs 27:6, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted." Proverbs 27:9, "The pleasantness of one's friend springs from his earnest counsel." If you saw a friend doing something that was self-destructive, what would you do? Would you confront them? Would you talk to their spouse or their family? What would you do? What if you saw a friend doing something that would probably destroy the family? True friends put the needs of a friend before their own need to keep the friendship. We all need someone who's going to tell us the truth in a loving way. And it's hard to grow personally without the help of our friends. It's never easy, but if you tell someone the truth, use this approach. Speak calmly, clearly, directly, honestly, and respectfully. This is how Jesus would confront someone. Number 9 is unselfishness. Friends look out for the interests of each other. Proverbs 17:17 says a friend loves at all time. And Proverbs 18:1 says an unfriendly man pursues selfish ends. On August 5th, 1936, at the Berlin Olympic Stadium, it was a little past 9 in the evening, and the pole vault event had lasted much longer than expected. The final 3 competitors were Earl Meadows of the United States and 2 very close friends from Japan, Shuhei Nishida and Sui Oh. Nishida had won a silver medal in the 1932 Los Angeles Games. The bar was at 14 feet, 3¼ inches, which Earl Meadows cleared on his second try. Nishida and Oh missed all 3 attempts. The 2 Japanese continued to jump for second and third place, but the competition ended without a conclusion when it became too dark to continue. Oh and I went back to the Olympic Village certain we had tied since we both jumped identical heights, Nishida remembered. At that time, they didn't have another tie-breaking rule. The officials decided to award the silver medal to Nishida, but they never fully explained their reasoning. Remember, the men had jumped the exact same heights. When they got back to Japan, both Oh and Nishida decided to cut their medals in half. Then they joined half of the silver medal with half of the bronze medal for each of them. And these medals are still known today as the Medals of Eternal Friendship. Soon after, Oh was killed in World War II, and his medal is on display at the National Stadium in Tokyo. What an unselfish act on the part of a friend. So, at the end of the day, what does make a good friend? Practicing the golden rule. Friends treat each other the way that they want to be treated. Jesus said, I have called you friends in John 15:15. How does Jesus treat us? Because that is the best example that we can find to follow when we're talking about how to be a good friend to someone. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson today on friendship and the characteristics that make a good friend. This lesson today came from BibleStudyLessonPlans.com. I thank them for their words. And I would like to remind you that in this time of social distancing, in this time of isolating, in this time of this pandemic, reach out to your friends, check on them, send them a card, even maybe to somebody you don't know that well. A lot of people have been locked up in their homes pretty much for the last year. I mean, I know you can go to the grocery store or whatever, but with the pandemic, some people can't do that because they are considered very high risk for catching the virus. But even if your friends are not high risk, reach out to them. Maybe it's something as simple as you call the neighbor next door and say, hey, I'm running up to the grocery store. Can I pick up anything for you while I'm up there? Reach out and call someone. Send cards. Everybody loves to get mail, and it's really nice to open a card that says that you are loved and you are appreciated and that the friendship that you have with that person means a lot to you. So I'm challenging you this week to do that. Pick 5 people, send them a card, just a note to tell them that you're thinking of them, you're praying for them, and you can't wait until this pandemic is all over and we can go out and visit one another again. Thank you for being here for this lesson. God bless everyone. I hope you have a wonderful week.